walked as it walked. It literally sounded.
Hey guys, welcome to Cinnamon Babe Horror Stories. So in today's episode, we are going to be reading some Reddit camping stories from hell, and it's one of my favorite subjects because I don't know, for some reason I just like the idea of like getting away from like a scary situation. I like camping like thriller movies and stuff if they're written right and it's not like stupid stuff going on. But yeah, I just like to hear different people's experiences, and this is my way of doing it since I don't have like that big of a following yet to like get the comments from you guys. Hopefully very soon I can start like discussing some of you guys' experiences because that'll be super fun. But if you're new, please like and subscribe, and please enjoy today's video. So let's get started on the first story, and damn it, I forgot my glasses. Oh well, we're gonna get through this. This is from Anselmo Ricketts, and this was probably posted about 7 years ago. And it starts off as, I was camping in a valley by myself with no cell service. I stayed late on a trail and ran into a nice local dude as it was getting dark. He showed me a local camping spot close to the road and the river, but camouflaged. I had a fire, drank beer, and listened to my friend's comedy podcast. I was so loud and visible because it was dark. Already I decided to sleep in the back of my truck under my topper next to all my gear, as opposed to setting up my tent. The next morning I made a fire, cracked a beer, and started making breakfast. Then I noticed that there is a man at the edge of my camp. He comes closer but never looks directly at me. This dude looks homeless and has a long ratty beard and has at least 100 plastic grocery bags tied all over his clothes. Yeah, something ain't right. Something is not right. I comment about how nice the day is. No response from him. I offer him some breakfast. Nothing. He sort of paces around the perimeter of my camp. I offer him a beer, but he just turns around. The dude is just standing there, back to me, wandering around. I'm realizing that there isn't going to be any good happenings. I had my bear spray and a buck knife super close. I give him an ultimatum. Mother, you are either going to acknowledge me or leave immediately. He ignores me. I grab the bear mace and walk a few steps towards him. He sulked away, and I threw my shit in my truck and left the place right quick. I wonder if he had watched me during the night, and I thank my laziness for staying in my truck instead of a tent. Yeah, I want to go camping one day, but I want to go glamping. Like either like I'm staying in a cabin or I'm staying in an RV or some type of makeshift like safer shelter than a tent, because the tent is just a plastic little casing that you're laying in. It just seems like you're, I don't know, door dashing yourself to the wild animals or to the wild crazy people. It just doesn't seem safe, and I just don't feel comfortable sleeping outside like that. My anxiety would never allow that. Story number 2. This is coming from Minestella, also posted 7 years ago. Went on a group camping trip in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, only to wake up and hear something sniffing the outside of my tent. My immediate reaction was that it was likely a bear or some animal that came across our site, and just maybe my dumbass friends didn't tie up their garbage. Seconds later, I can hear the sniffing go towards the tent next to ours, and everyone in my tent grabs one another quietly to acknowledge we were all awake and were aware of what was happening outside. Moments later, a friend in another tent popped out and started to scream and make noise. He had a gun too, hoping it would scare off whatever animal was in our sight. Turns out it wasn't an animal. It was some guy who had gone through our coolers, food, and also decided to be okay to sniff our tents. What the heck? Oh my god, I can't imagine it. Oh my god, like sniffing like a dog and going through the food. Oh my god. That's like, see, I can't. I would rather it be a wild animal. Like, at least, I don't know. It just seems like it's a better alternative. Oh my god. Our friends chased him off, and we immediately packed our shit and left. So this person has a second creepy camping story for us. That was crazy. Oh my god. All right, since this is floating at the top, I thought I'd add a second creepy camping story. A year after the above incident, my dumbass friends and I went back to the nearby area thinking what we encountered was a one-time incident. Yeah, y'all are dumb. If y'all are going to continue to camp, couldn't you guys just go to a different area? Why would you go back to the same area? Whatever. Must have been a nice area. This time we thought we'd outsmart any possible creepers, and instead of camping in our tents, we all slept in the beds of our trucks and SUVs. Because, they can't possibly sniff a Toyota Tacoma. Anyways, it's the middle of the night. I'm passed out in the back of my SUV when I suddenly feel a bright light on my face. Naturally, I would have woken up, cussed, and asked who was doing that. However, I instantly knew to pretend to be asleep and not to let the individual know I was awake. I laid there next to my girlfriend, hoping she would do the same thing, and kept an ear out for any unusual sounds. Like the sniffing. All I could hear was a friend snoring by the campfire. After the light left my car, I heard the person walk to the next truck and shine light on my friends in there. I slowly looked up, and it ended up being some older guy just standing there staring at everyone while they slept. I waited until he left the campsite, and I busted my ass out of the truck and woke up my friends, most of which had also been pretending to sleep and realized what was going on. So basically, don't camp outside of Tucson, Arizona, unless you want a he'll have eyes creature sniffing and staring at you while you sleep. See, like, people don't realize how lucky they are, because there are a lot of people who did not get out of situations like that alive. If you get out of a situation like that alive, use that as a sign to not go back to that area, or maybe just don't camp anymore. I don't know, but don't go back to the same area where weirdos were hanging out the first time. Learn from your mistakes, please. Story number 3, and it's not labeled as to what anonymous name or whatever said it. It just says deleted. Not exactly camping, but kind of. I lived in a very small town once when I worked from my laptop. Population of 200 small. I was in a small cabin in the woods, though next to the highway. Why do people live in towns like that? I hate small towns. I don't know why, I just do. One day I was walking my dog and heard 2 gunshots somewhere nearby. Didn't think much of it. It's a haunting area, and it's kind of redneck-like. Yep, we already know. We already know where this is going. The next day, or the day after, a truck pulls up. I don't even know anyone in this town, so it's weird, and I'm put off by it. Guy calls me over, says he's my neighbor. Asked if I heard the shots. I said yeah. He claims it was his neighbor taking pot shots at his house, basically over a land dispute. Doesn't ask me to be a witness for him or anything, just if I heard. Okay, seems really odd to me. Never met this guy before, and when I say neighbor, I mean 500 kilometers, 500 miles, 1 km away, out of sight. Sorry, I'm bad with that type of stuff. Guy sees my dog digging somewhere unimportant, and all of a sudden starts trying to tell her not to do that. Says, here, watch, calls her over, grabs her and tries to do the stupid effing Cesar Chavez dominance. Oh yeah, like flip her over. Hold the dog on their back thing for really no effing reason. She starts yelping. I'm like, dude, stop. Like, how are you just gonna grab somebody's dog? Like, yeah, that's a huge red flag. Like, they're basically like taking dominance over your home. He asked me whether I have any guns myself. I say no. First, why would you say that? Just lie and say you do. And why are you living in a cabin in the woods with no gun? Why is anybody going camping without one? No. Says he is a great dog trainer. He asked me to go over and mow his lawn. And please ensure to bring your dog. In the strangest way. Just like that. Please ensure you bring my dog's name. I can't describe it, but his mannerisms and the way he talked was just plain creepy, especially that line. He leaves soon after, and I'm thinking, I just told this guy not only that I heard the gunshot, but that I'm unarmed here. Yeah, you're being kind of stupid. I understand being caught off guard too, though, like put on the spot. How do I even know it was his neighbor, like he claimed, and not in fact that this weird dude has shot someone at his home and is trying to see who might have heard or witnessed? I wouldn't go to his house. Not a effing chance. Horrible feeling. Then he kept showing up asking why. Calling and texting, asking why. I gave him my number before realizing how weird he was. Really adamant I go over there. So you gave this guy your number. He knows where you live. He knows that you don't have a gun. And he knows you're alone. I'm assuming that this is a man talking. I hope a woman isn't being this oblivious. Because guys are like that. Because guys just don't think people are after them. But like, I really hope this is a guy and not a woman. Turns out that the guy is totally awky. Whatever that means. Lost his wife, lost his job, lost everything. Very dangerous mental state. Nothing to lose. The small store owners in town explained the guy to me. He apparently the most hated guy in the valley. Bad reputation. I'm now really freaked out. I found it very hard to sleep after that. Cabin in the woods, nobody nearby that would hear any commotion. Ample angles for the place to be approached from the woods, and just a can of beer, a bear spray, and a knife. And the guy knows I have no guns. I would be kept up for hours listening at night for any movement outside, as it was dead silent there. And see, why would you want to live like that is my question. Like, people say it's peaceful, but I just don't see it that way. One night, middle of the night, my dog starts to growl, then growls more. I don't hear anything, but it didn't matter. Every room in the cabin had a window but the bathroom. I just got up and grabbed the knife and bear spray and locked myself in the effing bathroom for hours listening. I think I eventually fell asleep in there. I don't think I ever felt that kind of dread. I just pictured the lunatic sneaking up with a shotgun to take me out. Or maybe heard him murder someone with a gun days earlier. It was just awful. I moved, but unfortunately the new landlords were equally creepy and even started trying to steal my dog, even though they had 3 literally. Why is everybody so interested in this poor person's dog? Like, what type of dog is it? I need to know. I heard them discussing it, how they had to make themselves the in crowd so that she'd want to be with them, and hand feeding her dog food when they thought I wasn't looking. They did say her, hand feeding her dog food when they thought I wasn't looking. The dog's a girl. I must have just been the small town thing. Totally strange people in the town for the most part. They went to market one morning. I packed all my shit into my uninsured van with no license, and my pup and effing bailed that town and never looked back. Good God, it was hills have eyes. It was Hills Have Eyes shit, mates. I'm telling you. Like, you put yourself in that situation. Why would you move in a town with only 200 people in the middle of the woods, unarmed? It's like, if you're going to live like that, at least have the instincts to, like, protect yourself if something was to happen and to be alert. This person's giving out their phone number. Like, they're giving out information they shouldn't give out. They're just making very poor decisions. And, like, I guess the movies are true. People really do stupid stuff, like, in the movies. It's crazy. Alright, so I can't remember which number we're on, but this is another camping alone in the woods by yourself for some reason. I guess so we can sit and discuss this for horror stories. But this person is Terminal Ninja. And 7 years ago. All these are from 7 years ago. For some reason, they're all like the best stories. Went camping by myself way out in the middle of nowhere in north central Pennsylvania. Drove on dirt Forest Service roads for over an hour and then hiked about 6 miles in on a barely recognizable trail. There were no signs anyone had been in the area recently. The trail was almost completely overgrown. No footprints, spider webs everywhere. I didn't really have a planned stopping point. I was just looking for a nice place to camp. But the trail followed a creek in a valley and was very rocky and not flat. As the sun is starting to set, I came upon a fork in the creek with a nice flat spot just on the other side. As I got closer, I saw all sorts of stuff laying around. I crossed the creek and started looking around. There was a tarp on the ground by a stone fire ring, a log about a foot in diameter that had been chopped with an axe. A little bit away, I found the entire contents, what would imagine to find in a hiker's backpack. Food, a cooking set, camping pad, first aid kit, etc. All strewn about on the ground, but no backpack in sight. There was a pile of clothes down by the creek and looked like it had sat through the last rain, which was the day prior, and a towel hanging from a tree. There was an area that had clearly been used as a toilet, for maybe about 10 or 14 days based on the amount of toilet paper piles. See, and that irritates me. Like, they, like, messing the environment up. Like, don't go camping or go in the woods if you're going to, like, trash it. Like, that's so irritating. The strangest thing, though, was the cage, about 4 square made out of saplings tied together. It was framed where the edges of a cube would be, and then had crossbars diagonally on each face. But it wouldn't have kept anything inside because how much open space there was, and obviously wouldn't have been very sturdy since it was only made from saplings. I ended up deciding to set up camp there because it was nearly dark and I didn't really have much choice unless I wanted to hike out in the dark on an unrecognizable trail. See, and now you're in a situation where, like, it could get really weird because now you're camping on someone else's campground. And they could come back at any time and they could be crazy. Like, just think about that. I had a 12-inch knife. I had a 12-inch knife on me. And I kept that thing in one hand the whole time I was there. See, and they're never armed. It's a knife. What are you going to do with that? Like, oh my God. Thinking some crazy guy was going to jump out and try to eat me. All night I barely slept and kept thinking I was hearing things. And then as soon as the sun came up, I packed up and got the F out of there. Everything turned out to be fine. No crazy cannibals or anything. But it still really bugs me because I don't know what that stupid wooden cube frame cage thing was. I called the Forest Service for the area and told them about it. Even sent them pictures. They said they sent a ranger in to check it out and clean it up. But I never followed up to see if they figured out what it was. The ranger on the phone told me it was probably either someone with a still nearby, someone growing pot, or just some loner living out in the woods. I roamed up the sides of the valley before I set up camp and didn't see anything. A still seems unlikely because of how far you would have to carry equipment in, and the area isn't really great for growing pot. So maybe it was just some guy living out in the woods, but why the cage? If there's any interest, I can probably find the pictures. Oh yeah, and last year I was camping out in Colorado and woke up at about 2 a.m. to a pack of coyotes running through my camp howling. Sounded like at least 20 of them. My dog was asleep next to me the entire time. Probably best he didn't wake up though. He would have gone nuts. And I told coyotes are much bolder in packs. Your dog sucks. What dog sleeps through a pack of 20 coyotes? Right. This sounds like my dog. My dog is like that. Like, he's so unalert. But yeah, luckily nothing happened. But like, why would you put yourself in that situation? Why? Like, seriously. All right, so this is going to be the last story, and it's by somebody named Depravity. That's creepy. Okay. Went on a group retreat type thing over a fall weekend about 8 years ago. Husband and I and our 3 girls, all under age 10. This was an annual occurrence, but we were flush that year as a result of our company doing well. As a result, we avoided the communal bunkhouses and decided to rent a camper. At least they're in a camper. The RV rental place explained that it would cost the same for the 3 nights as it would for 2. So we decided we'd return it on Monday despite the retreat being over early on Sunday. So the weekend went great. It was super hot and we were happy to have AC. We didn't notice at the time different people being in and out all day, not staying in the RV much over the weekend because of activities. But the previous renters hadn't bothered to clear out the septic lines in the camper. Gross. You gotta do that yourself when you rent a camper? I didn't know that. By 6 Sunday evening, it stunk horribly and was backing up into the toilet. Oh my god, that's so nasty. Oh my god. My husband was anxious about the rental company blaming us, so he decided to go to Walmart in the neighboring town for some Drano. That sucks. Like, they should literally get a discount or a refund. Mind you, the particular location, while opening all year, is rarely occupied outside of retreats. I'll confess that we haven't been back since the occasion, so the details of why don't really come to mind. But as I recall, it was privately owned by a church in the area, and they used it mostly for their own purposes and events. So, Hubs leaves around 8:30 p.m. for Walmart. It's an hour plus a round trip, thanks to the rural area and skinny back roads. I start straightening the camper, packing our belongings, and getting the kids settled. He'd been gone for about 40 minutes when I had gotten everything squared away and delivered the last glass of water, an overexcited child who'd been on the move all day and was having trouble relaxing. I curled up in bed to read and wait for my husband to get back in case he needed help. The lights had been out for about 20 minutes when I started hearing a clicking sound coming from the window behind the bed. I stilled instantly and ran through a self-reassuring checklist. It's the trees scraping the glass, nature, a sound in the environment nearby, or an axe murderer that was an option too. I got up and walked very slowly to the kitchen. The noise followed. As I was climbing up into the loft area over the truck can, I heard the door handle rattle, and then the scraping sound. I got a knife as I passed through the kitchen, which I was sweaty clutching, as I huddled down on the edge of the bed in the loft guarding my children. See, oh my god, and they always just have a knife. Like, if the person that you think is outside your window has something else, what are you going to do? I eyed the cabin, making sure every access point was locked, and hoped whoever it was definitely whoever at this point would go away. I leaned left and right, trying to get signal on my cell phone, to call camp security or my husband or anyone, but it wouldn't dial. Oh my god. I waited panicking. It was about 5 minutes of torture. Later that I saw headlights through the portholes on the side. Coming along the winding road, to the RV sites, and my husband entered the cabin, looking at me weird. He scoffed at me, being a city girl, and told me that people didn't break out of prison and attack women and children in random rural campgrounds. I expressed that I had heard the door rattling and that it wasn't a coincidence of nature, but he brushed me off. Oh yeah, he's tripping. Yeah, like, that actually does happen, sir. Like, what suburban area do you come from where that doesn't exist? It exists. Just because it doesn't happen, in your area, it happens. Like, don't invalidate that. We passed the test of the night without incident. Though I was too on edge to sleep, the next morning we drove into the town to return the RV. On the once over demanded by the rental agreement, the manager came around to my husband and asked if he knew what had happened to the rear window. It seems that someone had used a switchblade or some similar item to remove the gasket from around the window where the back bedroom was, where I had been reading the night before. There was gashes in the paint consistent with knife marks, and the gasket had been sliced off. The window lock was also damaged. It seemed whoever had done it had also tried inserting the knife in the door's lock and between the jamb and the lock in another attempt to gain entry. Fortunately, they didn't get in, and we were not charged for the damage of the RV. Needless to say, I never consented to a solo camping trip again, and always go in a larger group now. Safety in numbers and all that still makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. So yeah, at least this person learned that, this is not a comfortable situation, and I'm not going to put myself in that situation again. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed reading these. These were actually my first time hearing these stories. I just literally was copying and pasting them off of Reddit. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any creepy camping encounters, because I would love to hear about them. And stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.